This presentation is the work of me, a historical linguist and lexicographer, and a technical person. Yes, I do, but I do the talking. Like people would say at our organization, I usually do most. I felt kind of stupid making a mistake. Everybody feels stupid every once in a while. There are stupid people. But my question and what I've been working on lately is, what if people want to find everything about stupidity and stupid people, for instance, in the 13th century? What do they think about stupidity and stupid people? How would you do that? You'll have to look something up in text, digitized text material, because that's all you have. So what could you do? You could take a historical dictionary and start reading, which for the historical dictionaries of the Dutch language would take you an awful long time. There's a lot of meters of books there. You could hope for an online application in which you can search and have an advanced search, which is available, and then you might find some suggestions as to words for stupidity. But then again, as everybody knows, historical language has its own variation in spelling as well. Like you see in this nice example of the simple modern Dutch word kapitein, and it's all these spellings I didn't know of, which are in this nice corpus of 17th and 18th century sailing letters we have online. But what if you don't have a tagged corpus, like in the previous one I showed in the opening slide, and you want to search the large digital collection of, for instance, the KB library, and search for certain historical terms and terminology, you would like to have some suggestions, like you see in top, of potential spellings of the concept or the word you're looking for. What I've been talking about was introduced, these issues were introduced to me by content providers like the Royal Library, like the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. They called it the historical language barrier. Content providers came to us in a project which was mentioned by Frida in the morning, Impact, and saying, look, we have all this digitized content and there's a formal variation, people don't know the spelling, there's phonological variation, morphosyntactic variation, and also people don't know what are the words used to describe a stupid person. And if I search for this particular word, will I find it in the correct meaning? If you know that ezel is a Dutch word for a stupid person, you can look for ezel then in the historical text, but it can also refer to the animal donkey. So there's quite a bit of a challenge. There's the onomasiological variation, different expressions of the same concept, so we have the recall issues, and the semasiological variation, different senses for the same word. We are at our organization, and I've started as a traditional lexicographer using the snippets and working on the large woordenboek de Nederlandse taal. And I gradually grew into more digitized and digital environment, and I strongly believe that traditional dictionaries have a lot more potential than functioning as a place to look up meaning of a text. So with this philosophy, we did a couple of things at INL, which started a long time ago. Our first step was from print dictionaries to a nice dictionary portal, which extensive search possibilities, which went beyond lemma search and search for meaning. So treating the dictionary more like a corpus. A second step, what we did was using that data from the quotations and building a computational lexicon of entries and word forms with different variation of spelling with information there. That's the Gigant project, which I will not elaborate on further. which uses the data, the structured data from our online dictionaries, and which we use in this portal, which I showed from KB, where it suggests historical spelling variants. Now, the final step, and that's what I want to talk to you about today, is the most challenging one, is getting the semantic layer on top of this and going to a diachronic lexicon, which gives this information on synonyms, hyperonyms, and how to build that. I want to discuss this in this presentation. So I will introduce the project a little bit and discuss the onomasiological aspect and the semasiological aspect of the work. We will present the lexicon as linked open data. I'll talk to you a little bit about the format and how that relates to the data and what we want out of it, and show some perspectives for deployment use cases. That will be basically what I'm talking about. What are the dictionaries? So there's the 4 dictionaries which are in our historical dictionary portal. There's a dictionary of Old Dutch, Early Middle Dutch, Middle Dutch, and the dictionary of the Dutch language. These are very large dictionaries covering 15 centuries of Dutch language, which are, if you say, well, nice material to work with, are a lot more challenging because of their size. We have about almost 600,000 entries, 813,000 definitions, more than 2 million quotations, and the entire dictionary corpus is about 78 million tokens. So it's quite a large resource of information to do this work. If you compare this corpus of material to the first Brown corpus of 1 million words, and the first INL corpora, which had 5, 27, and 38 million words, this is quite a large amount of data. The nice thing about putting this dictionary online is that you have the XML encoding, which we put into a lot of effort into. We did it all in XML TEI, so we have the dictionaries online in XML TEI with every structural element there with their own ID, and this information we use to build our computational lexicon and all the layers on top of. So that was a nice advantage. We do it in a modular approach. We work per dictionary, and we do the integration of the different dictionaries. You see a view of our database here, just to show you that it exists and how we work there. But we come back to our user who wants to know which words for stupid person they were in Dutch and in historical Dutch. So the onomasiological variation, there is a Dutch word net. So there's a lot of ideas on what could be Dutch words for stupid people. Druiloor, I see, sufkop, kuiken, idioot, you name it. What we do is doing it step by step. So we've first been working on a thesaurus of diachronic synonyms extracted from the dictionary data. We've been looking to adding other semantic relations. We use distributional similarity for acquisition from information from corpora and from our dictionary data, and we try to benefit from existing resources as well. How does it work? We first started with extraction of synonyms and near synonyms of the definitions in the 2 major dictionaries of the Middle Dutch language and Dictionary of the Dutch language. These synonym definitions are particularly frequent in the Middle Dutch dictionary because it was conceived as a kind of translational dictionary to the language of that time, which is the language described in the WNT. So we did that. That is an example of stupid in what you get out of synonym extraction for stupid in the Dictionary of the Dutch language. An awful lot of, you see, we have extracted the definitions from our XML, the syntactic information, the lemma, the modern Dutch equivalent, and then all all the nice words for stupid, going from bad, ignorant, to grof, lomp, rude, insignificant, verwaten, you name it. A lot of things I've been working on Dutch language and historical language I didn't know would be synonyms of stupid. But anyway, this rule-based extraction works pretty well. If we do it automatically, there's that 80% precision precision and a 97% recall for the both dictionaries. So, and we are still looking into distributional techniques for extraction of near-synonyms from definitions which don't have these synonyms there, but I won't go into that much detail. But there's the semasiological variation. You have this ezel, a stupid person, but obviously it has more meanings. To tackle this issue for your user, you need more. You need data to do the work. You have an inventory of word senses. We have our dictionary. A lot, maybe too many senses in our dictionary, but we have that. You need a semantically tagged corpus. We have our quotations in our dictionary as a corpus, which is almost 2 million semantically tagged occurrences of headwords in the quotation. And we need useful background data like a large historical corpus to obtain word embeddings, which we have because we've been allowed to use the Digital Library of Dutch Language and Literature, which has a nice diachronic corpus there. And we need a lot of tools, and a lot of work still has to be done to detect semantic change, to do word sense induction, to do word sense disambiguation. We have been, because I like the traditional methods, I'm very skeptic about all the potential promises that go into this distributional semantic technique. So this project is also about how do they work for a lexicographer, how well will they suit my purposes. So so we have tried, run some experiments here it's visualized the distance between quotations computed as average vectors of words in quotations, and the vectors are derived from the DBNL corpus. And you can see the several senses of zin, it's another word here, and you would hope that the colors which refer to meanings in the dictionary, which show some grouping, you would not need this dictionary information to see more of the clustering. So, but there's some patterns visible there, but still a lot of work to be done. We have tested word sense disambiguation to test how homograph disambiguation in lemmata and WNT would go, and if it would possible to distinguish main senses within a lemma in a corpus. We did that. These are some of the results. There's still a lot of work to be done. If you need, I won't go into the technical details, that would be another talk, but we've been investigating this. If you have questions on the techniques, you have to address Jesse for that. But eventually, I want to have a lexicon in the linked open data community. Why that would be an example of, I think there's the animals here, the mammals here out of our dictionaries. All the mammals are here selected in our dictionary. How I selected the mammals, I will show you later on in the use case. What we want is, in the CLARIAH infrastructure, they want some concept entity graphs, location entity graphs, and person entity graphs as a data infrastructure. If other people have information, they can link to on concepts in their other projects. They can link to, and they can use our concepts in our dictionary to work with their data sets and vice versa. So that's the first reason to do it in linked open data. I'm sorry about the strange bulleting. It's a conversion issue here. We're also involved in CLARIAH search. There's the local search, federated search, and chaining search program in Clarion, in which this lexicon will function. Everybody who knows CLARIAH knows that there's a federated content search within Corpora, for which is a Dutch prototype we are developing it. We're working on it INT, but we want to also have a local search of lexica, a federated search of lexica, and one of the historical lexicons would be, this historical lexicon would be part of this content search. Okay. There's my data, my database, and then publishing the lexicon as linked open data, and then you're confronted with standards and theories, and we have looking at Lemon and Ontolex to do this work, to turn it into an RDF, to form the model. There's discussion or lexicon versus dictionary, which is a decision you have to make. Do I convert what I'm working on? Issues of provenance. I'm a user, I want to know which quality I get from the lexicon. Is it manual or is it machine annotated? And usage information attestation is something specific we are dealing with because of the way our lexicon is built, which is not really easy to fit into Lemon Ontolex. And of course we do the lexical relations and there. Why linked open data? Interoperability. An expressive model, although I would never think it would be very suitable as a content management model there, but that is my personal opinion. What we try to achieve is, and that is different because I know there's an Ontolex discussion going on of turning traditional dictionaries into an RDF model. I don't think that is not our main goal. We want to turn our lexicon into RDF, but our traditional dictionaries are just the layer which we refer to, from which lexicon was built. And we want to keep track of the provenance data. So everything we have in this lexicon refers to our online dictionaries or to part of the online dictionary because we have this reference information there. The semantic relations, that is a challenge also in our model because we start from step by step. You can first have full text search. Then you can allow full text search in definitions. We want to have tagged synonyms or synonym definitions as a next step, and then we want to link the synonym from the entry it refers to link to the entry it refers to, and eventually want to link each synonym to each appropriate sense. And this is a project that is ongoing, and if the model has to fit this development of data, because that's why we use, for instance, synonym definition as a subclass of sense definition, because it's not in Ontolex, because we need it in our model there. Another thing which is different from what I encounter is that we use quotation. Quotations give us the metadata for the information we have. It is evidence for the lexicographer, it gives us the dates, it gives us the word forms for our formal lexicon. So we kind of, just don't kill me for, if you have an alternative name, we kind of designed a term like lexical phenomenon, for which is linked to attestations, to quotations, and to the entry in the sense and the forms, because quotations are evidence for the meaning in the dictionary, for the forms in Gigant. So this is something we had to introduce, otherwise it didn't, we link all the information we derive from the dictionaries, even the senses, are really information on what we found in the corpora there. So we have metadata from for each quotation, which we then propagate to sense and to lemma and synonyms. If you have it for, if you want to say which terms are in which period, and provenance, which we also want. There's automatic synonym extraction, but there's some people in my team correcting the automatic synonym extraction. If I would wait to put the material online before everything is manually corrected, it would take a long time. This allows me to put intermediate versions of the dictionary online with provenance information, so as to make sure that if you use the lexicon, you can or retrieve the manually corrected information, or only the automatic, or you can use also the automatic extracted synonym definitions. This is all technical information. I could talk for a lot of time for it, but why am I doing this? To be able to show this. This is simply by using the quotations, extracting the synonyms, and then listing what the stupid person, according to our dictionary, which terms were used in which time periods. It's a very bad visualization. I haven't been concerned with visualization yet, but this is the advantage of using these dictionaries, the attestations, and the dates which are in our online dictionaries. And if you would use our lexicon, you could link to the online dictionaries, and you could read an entire definition and more information on all these words. This is an example of chaining search. I have my dictionary in RDF because we have everything in a Jena RDF store, our dictionary there and other data. And now I use Open Dutch WordNet, and I use their information on weapons, and then I combine it with my information in my historical dictionaries and see what I can get out of weapons, information on weapons in my historical lexicon. I can also use my historical corpus and look for relations between the dictionary data using the distributional semantics in the lexicon. I have one final slide. And I can link to DBpedia ontology to retrieve all the fish from my lexicon and all their relations and synonyms there. The advantage of having the stuff in RDF. And the simplest of applications, we're back at the beginning. I can give the list to a user and say, oh, in 13th century, you can search for zot, for onwees, onvroeder, ongevallige, een dul, een dorper. And then you'll find a lot more about stupid people. And that is my talk. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I have two questions. The first one is whether you have considered Lemon Lemon, which is a diachronic extension for Lemon proposed by Ken, whether you have considered to model your lexicon or to model that semantic shift from the different stupid occurrences of stupid in the corpus. And that was the first question. And the second question was whether you looked at the NLP interchange format, NIF, to model the corpus and then to link the corpus, the attestations, the quotations, to the different senses or to different entries that you found.
Okay. Yes, the first answer to your question is yes, we did. But the main difference between how we store information on time period is we link it to the attestations, to the citation corpus, and we think and we hope we'll eventually be able to extend the lexica with external material And we think we'd rather stick to having that information to the evidence and then propagate it to the sense level and then give the dates there than the model like it was suggested by Vatkan. But of course, I looked into...
I was wondering then whether it would fit or not.
And in the NIF, no, I haven't looked into the... You did.
We use part of the vocabulary for, because NIF is always also a standoff annotation, and we're basically doing the same thing, but inside Lexicon. So.
Okay, so he knows more than I do, so sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you.